Um, well, hi everybody, and welcome back to the show. Ray Wood here, and I'm pretty pumped today to be joined by my friend Andrew Coronis. Andrew is chairman of the Coronis Group, based out of Queensland, Australia. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ray. It's delightful to be here, and I'm really excited to have a talk to you.
We had a chat, or we had an interview back in December of 2015, and boy, what what an interesting 11 years we've had since then. We've had crazy property markets. We've had COVID, of course,
Hmm.
and we've had so much growth, and now we've got these new tech changes with AI, and the future is looking interesting. I'd love you to just, for those that don't know, I'd love you to just quickly share your story, how you started. You took over your father's single office, and you've grown this amazing brand.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really proud of the story, to be honest, and I think it's
Should
for
be.
hopefully the people listening to it will get something from it as well. Because we started literally, we call it the hole in the wall. It
Yeah.
was a 60 square meter office. I think our desks were, less than a meter by 30 centimeters, so to speak. We didn't have much money, and I joined the business back in 1988. So a lot of people listening to this probably weren't even born then, Ray. Um, anyway, we mucked around for the first 5 or 6 years, but I was lucky enough to go to a real estate conference and hear something I'd never heard before, which was basically, it's up to me. And my dad had a real estate office. We had a very beautiful, loving middle class Australian family, and I'm so proud of um, our history in that regard with our family, and our family ties are still very strong in the business as well. For that reason, it's a Greek family, and I think we love family, we love comradeship, we love everything. But anyway, we started. We were. I suppose very average real estate agents, Ray, and I'm kind of proud to say that, but as part of our journey, that we just didn't know what we were doing, and then we started maturing, and there was a really good conversation in 1995. So we're talking 5 years later, between three people who are still kind of in the business. My dad, who's 89, is still around, and he's a unit holder in the business. He's not active, but he still gives me a hard time all the time. And and Craig Gillies and myself, and we
Of
were
course.
going,
Yeah.
we are making ends meet. And I like that term because that's what it was. You'd make ends meet. There was no growth, there was no progression, but you were living a life, and it was quite a reasonable life, and we were earning incomes. But we had bigger goals personally, that myself and my and Craig had. And my dad too, he was looking down the gun barrel of, at that stage, probably becoming a pensioner or something like that.
Hmm.
Had a good life, put his kids through private schools, did many, many things, but just really didn't prepare probably well enough at that stage. Anyway, we all got a bit serious, and it was a really good conversation about, well, we're going to get good at this or we're going to get out. Um, so we all committed to working hard at the business, and on the business.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky because Craig and I were selling, and Dad was the leader of the office. So he did all the other stuff, if you call it, and we did. We just concentrated on sales, and I think that dynamic as a team worked really, really well. So, all of a sudden, we went and got some training. We became more committed. We became more focused. We were working 7 days a week back then. And we all committed to working 7 days a week. And, it was a 24, 25-year-old kid. We were turning up, well, not kid, young men. Craig and I were turning up pretty green on Sunday mornings after
Yeah.
being out on Saturday night. So we
Of
still had a
course.
fun time,
Yeah.
but we'd always turn up, and we were always there for the 2 years. And look, funny enough, we put the effort in, we got better training, we implemented the skills that we had, and lo and behold, we were doing much better. We were
Yep.
going an office doing 4 or 5 sales, and then we started averaging 12 sales a month.
Yep.
And you can imagine when you're doing that back then, the fees started growing, the income started growing. We could hire better people, better quality. We could pay for better marketing, and Dad was doing that side of it. So we had one office until about 2000s, and then Dad said, "You're doing a really good job. I'm about 60. I'm out of here. I'm going to go traveling the world." We were financially. He was financially free, if that makes sense, of
Yep.
being tied to a real estate. And the reason this story is important, that's what we're trying to create now with our 41 offices, and a lot of them are franchises. We want to pass down the wisdom that helped us create from this hole in the wall to a thriving office with, at that stage, 400 rentals at Stafford in North Brisbane. It wasn't a hole in the wall at that stage. We had 8 people on our sales team. We were doing 30 sales a month back then. We had a wonderful culture. We all kind of liked we not kind of, we loved each other. It was a real
Mm,
camaraderie. It was
mm,
fun to go to work. You know, my wife Annie used to say, "You're going to work to have fun with your mates." And I said, "Yeah, of course. You know, why wouldn't you have fun with your mates?"
mm.
So anyway, that worked really well. And then I got itchy feet. I was growing. I was 33 in 2003. And I got itchy feet and said, "Well, yeah, this is really going well, but it's not going to, cut the mustard for me either. Let's just keep going." So we started, funnily enough, we started growing our sales team at Stafford. And I read a book that Craig Turner authored. I don't know if he wrote it, but he was certainly in touch, called Family Village Tribe.
This is the family
And I,
of the founder of Flight Centre.
sorry, I should
Yep,
explain that. Craig Turner, yeah,
yep.
is the founder of Flight Centre.
Graham?
Graeme, yeah,
Graham,
yeah,
yep.
sorry, yes, Graeme, yeah, his nickname is Screw. And the book goes to talk about human nature, and I think when we understand human nature, we can understand real estate people, we can understand salespeople, property managers, and we understand the dynamic of teams. And basically, what really hit me as we were expanding our sales team, we were having real trouble creating the same culture we had with a smaller, more efficient sales team. So, six people, we were braining at doing 30 sales. You put 8 people in, you're doing 31 sales, and you had a lot more cultural issues.
Yeah,
So we got some of those people who were, bandied together, because we created a tribe rather than a family. The family will stick together and they'll fight, but they'll get over it. Whereas a tribe can
yep,
splinter a bit.
yep.
So we splintered and we opened another office. And funnily enough, instead of just doing the 30 sales out of one office, we started doing 5 and 6 out of the other one. So we started growing. And that was
Right.
the genesis of it. So from 2003 to 2015, 16, we got to 23 offices in Southeast Queensland, and we grew to a rent roll of just shy of 8,000 properties.
Yeah.
There was a lot of acquisitions in that rent roll, and we bought a lot. A lot of people might say, "What's better, organic or acquiring?" And I say you've got to do both, in my
Hmm.
opinion. I don't think it's not an and/or; it's as well as. And I
Yeah.
think that's a really big piece to our growth.
Yeah.
Because when you grow a big rent roll, you get a lot of sales volume out of it. You attract a lot of attention. You attract a lot of talent. You can buy offices with talent in it. And it was really good. And we were all company owned. And I really didn't want to do franchising back then, which I think was a mistake in hindsight. We always learn from your mistakes. And as I said to you just before, I think we got comfortable in 2016 because everything was going really well.
Yep.
We were still very committed to the business, and we had a very big a very solid long-term leadership team who had equity in the business. Jody Ford running property management, Craig running sales, Gillian had been with us in accounts for many years, and the key positions, like we had at Stafford, were very locked down to people who are very vested in the business for their reasons as well.
Yep. Yep.
Not anybody else's. But we should have, at that stage, given people who were working in our business the next level of opportunity to create their own freedom of choice and their own offices and coach them to that, which we do now, to be honest,
Yeah.
and it's really heartening. So anyway, we grew those offices. We did really well till 2020-ish, but it was getting really messy to run
Hmm.
because the people running our offices, understandably, didn't have ownership in them.
Yeah.
And we've done a total black flip on that now. So during COVID, we actually shrank the office numbers, but on the essence to grow again. And we needed to pull back our model. And I'm a big believer in this. There's only 2 things you need. You need great people who are well and driven, and you need a really good business model. If you don't have both of those, it's pretty hard to run a business.
Yeah. That's the
And our
formula.
business model our
Yeah.
business model was broken, right?
Right.
It was no doubt about it. In hindsight, at the time, you go, yeah, sure, we'll just band-aid it everywhere.
Yep.
But the model was broken. So we
Yep.
had to go from those 23, we actually got to 24 at one stage. We went back to 8, what we call big hubs, which were much bigger offices. Anyway, since then, we've grown again, but we're franchising now
Right.
in a much stronger way than just here's our name, go for your life.
Right.
There are very high level expectations that have to come from, if you want, we've got a lot of people wanting our franchises, but we must make them successful. They
Yep.
must be financially benefiting from being a franchise, not just a salesperson who's running an office, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yep.
I have a big belief that most things in real estate offices come from sales. So, whilst property management is very and vitally important and it's hand in glove with sales, if you don't have a strong sales department, it's very hard to run a strong property management department
Yeah.
because sales keep feeding in all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You've talked.
And mortgages as well.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, you are a full service agency. I think you cover everything that you possibly can in real estate.
Yeah, well, I think that'll go for the next conversation of, I think the consumer of the future will say, I want to move into that house. I want to
Mm,
buy that house. I want to move into it. What
yeah.
do you mean I've got to go to a conveyancer? What do you mean I've got to go to the bank? I just want to buy the house, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting compared to all of these other wonderful, from food services in the home um, uh, anything that makes our life frictionless, and real estate's still a very clunky, in my opinion, a very
Yes.
clunky offering
Process. Yep. Yep.
process. Thank you.
Yep. Yep.
So that's where I think the consumer is, and that's why we went this way. So we now have obviously sales and property management, which are the big staples of the business, but
Yes.
finance offering, because I believe personally, the tenants of the future, a lot of them want to buy a house. They don't
Of
know how
course.
to. So
Of course.
we started
Yeah.
to do education with them and getting right upstream. And it's all about educating people before they need the service, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
We have a conveyancing section that's very strong. We have our own maintenance division because we now manage about just under 15,000 properties, with
Okay.
all the franchises and everything
Yep.
involved. So there's a need to make it frictionless. And when you have some level of control over it all, you can actually help the client become frictionless. There you
Yeah.
go. You make
Yep.
the service offering frictionless, and I think that's what the consumer of the future wants.
You talked about before I press record, you talked about we sort of kept coming back to it, the journey and the lessons learned, and you've said that you've got some regrets, but I guess we all have with our business growth and our journey. There's definitely stuff that we'd all do differently. You talked about as well though back in the early days and Craig Gillies, and I'd forgotten about Craig actually. And Craig, if you're listening, hello. Um, Terrific guy. But
Yes.
that energy from the early days and how you built the team um, is your success model for what you're experiencing or what you're rolling out now. Um, so, which leads me to a question: when you're looking for a business partner, and I count franchisees as your partners,
Correct.
obviously.
Yes.
Um, are there some qualities that stand out because you would have a pretty good what do I call it, the sniff test? You would have a pretty
Yes.
good track record for knowing who is going to make a good potential partner. Can you single some of those things
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think when I think learnings and regrets are two different things. I don't
Hmm.
regret anything we've done because we've actually got to this stage, if that makes sense. And I
Of
think
course.
you got to fail. You got to fail at things.
Yep.
Seriously, anybody out there who thinks they can get to success without failing, they're deluding
Hmm.
themselves. It's just the way. It's the price you've got to pay to success. But and these partners, and a lot of them are partners, where we will seed people into offices. So we look at them as partners. And in fact, just about all of them are partners straight up. Not many people go to 100% franchise straight away because we've got skin in the game. They've got skin in the game. We help seed it with rentals. We help seed it and grow it from a low level to where it is. But the general partners that we've got, we call them franchise partners,
Yep.
come from doing a minimum of $600,000 in GCI. Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
that's a staple,
Right.
because we know when you put that level of GCI with the rentals that we give to the entity and the support structure and the cost base of doing all the books and doing all the things. When I talked about Dad used to do all the other stuff.
Hmm.
When you put a low cost base on that, you put rentals in and that are cost based neutral, if not growing straight away,
Yep.
and someone doing 600 minimum GCI, it grows. And what
Right.
we've found, the people that have come on have been doing way more than that 600, and because they're excited about their future again, not just being a salesperson, they're growing their GCI by 20 to 30% because they're doing it for themselves and they feel
Right.
really engaged.
Yep.
So that's the production side, which you need to have the skills, and that's a skill, right? Not everyone can do that level of fee, and some of the people coming on are doing 1.5, by the way. So it's not for anybody at 600. There's somebody about to come on who's doing well over $2 million in fee.
Right.
So they just don't. What we're looking for is someone who sees a future, not just being a salesperson for the rest of their life. Okay,
Right.
they
Yep.
they want they want to have they want to be some level of business person eventually,
Yep.
and it's a good way of growing them through this process, which will be a 5-year journey, by the way, plus. It's not a straight up thing. This is somebody, it's not come here and run an office straight away. It's come here and keep doing what you're doing, and we'll support you through that process. And then we'll slowly change you and educate you and grow you from being a salesperson so that eventually you don't have to be a salesperson anymore. And you can have what I call a Stafford,
Yep.
which is, 30 sales a month, really happy team, big rent roll, asset class, and financial freedom for yourself in the future.
Got it.
So a lot of people, we don't look for someone who wants to come and make a quick buck. We look for someone who wants to evolve themselves.
Okay.
And then the most important thing is we look for is their why. Are
Okay.
they doing it for their family? Are they doing it for their parents? Why is the reason they want to do this for? Because the real estate, boneyard is littered with people who say they want to do things and don't do it, right? We
Yeah.
know that. That's a simple fact.
Yeah.
So we don't want that because we can't have one fail, Ray. We
Right.
can't.
Right.
They all must be successful and they all must grow.
Yeah.
And because that, in some ways, that's a pride thing for myself and Karuna, who, is obviously the CEO now and runs it,
Yes.
and she's been with us, for over 20 years as well.
Yes.
It's a pride thing for us to know that, the Coronis family has helped someone grow financial freedom and made their life better. And that's part of our mission and our vision
Yeah.
is that your life must get better because you come and work at Coronis. Don't come here
Yeah.
to sell houses. You can
Yeah.
do that anywhere, right? It's a different topic. And that's what I'm proud of. That's a bit deeper and a bit more soulful than just come here and sell houses and make money for 1 or 2 years.
Yep.
We want you to set your life up. We want your family to be supported. We want you to not retire as a pensioner. And the reason I can say this so fondly is because it's exactly what we did at Stafford, right?
Yeah.
We turned the thing around in 5 years and we had a real crack and we made it work. Now we
Yep.
have the systems and procedures to help people do that.
You're bringing them into the culture of your enterprise.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, which is the best bit now that we didn't have before. They can everyone runs a slightly different culture.
Right.
I would run an office slightly different to you, but within the boundaries of the Coronis vision and values, they're allowed to do whatever they want with their own business. And I think
Yeah.
that's the key here too. There's a lot of hands off. You do it your way. Here's the vision and values you've got to prescribe by,
Yep.
because everyone must live by those. Yeah.
Yep.
But how you do it, and I've matured now too, Ray. I used to say that, like one way you do it. No, we're in a people business and people like doing it their way. But if the values are the same and the vision is to grow everyone in their offices to certain levels, go for your life. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you, and it's been brilliant. And thank you so much for your time today, Andrew. I mean, anybody
You're
listening
welcome.
to this is tapping into decades of exceptional business growth and great Australian growth. It's a great Australian story. I don't know if we asked this question back in 2015 when we spoke, but I'm always interested. I've always got one eye on the future, and the future has probably never looked more uncertain. I think the advent of of AI and what's happening at the moment is much bigger than the internet will ever be, almost. And I think it's interesting. I'm interested in your take on where we're headed with a real estate spin.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, everybody say it's uncertain. I think the future has never been more certain.
Okay.
The fact is evolution and change is on us and it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually go back to the human side of what we have to deliver to other humans, this is just another tool to help you deliver that. And we've
Okay.
got to be smart enough to realize that humans still want the same thing. It was something I brought back from Harvard this year, which I shared with our leadership team, and I know we're trying to push it as a big point for us. Is number one, with AI, there are no lessons, there are no courses. The Americans over there call it FAFOing, and a lot of people may know that term already, but it's it's F around and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way to do this,
Yep.
So if you haven't got a Claude account and you haven't got a chat account and you haven't not playing with it, you will get left behind.
Yep.
It's pretty hard to give it as a leader. I'm talking about, yeah, and we're all leaders here, yeah. But you've got to realize humans, and this came from HBS, which I love. Humans will want real personal connection, right? We want this. This is what this podcast is all about.
Yep.
Humans will want to consume things that make them feel good. That's a given. We all want that. Humans will be seeking meaningful and purpose and clarity in their lives. Humans will want to pay for things that reduce the friction. That's a given too.
Big one.
Big one. Humans will seek out status and improve social positioning. That's just what we do. We
Yep.
all do it, whether we admit it or not. Yeah. And humans will be insecure. This is just what happens with humans. So we've got to think this first and how, quite frankly, how we help other humans. And when you help other humans, your business grows.
Yeah.
I have a very simple philosophy about this.
Yep.
And, Karuna has been excellent, our CEO. And that's why we've got this new business model with our franchises is she actually analyzed it all really well. I'm really proud that she's done this and changed it, where the franchise model is not just here's our name, thanks very much, come to some training, see you later. The franchise model is for sales and for property management and how to grow these other income streams in their organization, which a lot of the
Yes.
franchise aren't doing.
Yes.
Because we actually understand that if our franchisees are profitable and growing and having fun and hitting financial freedom, our lives are fine.
Yeah.
Our lives are fine.
Yeah.
And that's, gets back to those human elements. So I've never thought of the future being uncertain. I think it's certain. These changes are upon us. It's just how we implement these new tools that have been given to us
Yep.
with AI and just get all over it and, FAFO it, muck
Yep.
it up,
Yep.
have problems,
Make mistakes.
make mistakes. You're going to screw it up. People are going to say that's wrong, and you're going to say, yeah, fine, I'll have another crack at it.
Yeah.
And I know myself, the small tip I've just learned recently is that a lot of people use AI for a piece of the puzzle to an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
What I've started using it for is an outcome and then work backwards from there.
Yep.
So we have a now registered training organisation and do about 800 courses up and down the east coast of Australia
Yep.
every month online, and talking about how do we make our consumer experience better, how do we make it better for our team, and how do we make the business more profitable. And I put all those things in, and what it came back to me was just unbelievable. And then I dig down from there because it's a bit of a Coronis business culture that my dad told me. As long as it's good for the clients in the community, as long as it's good for the people that are working there and the team members, and as long as it's profitable, we really don't care how it's done.
Yep.
And it's a really good litmus test to run over every business opportunity, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's where AI can help you. You have got the smartest people in the world in your telephone who
Yeah.
can
Right.
do it for you.
Be crazy not to use it.
So that's where I think the future is very certain. I think I did say to you offline, I'm a big proponent. I think in 15 to 16 to 20, I was looking at things like Uber and I was looking at all these things that took the human out of the picture. I am 100% flipped on that.
Yeah.
We will always
Yep.
need property managers.
Yep.
They probably won't be doing the same tasks they're doing now because they will go, but humans will still want and need a property manager. And you've only have to see the amount of people that have failed trying to go internet only, or sorry, digital only property management just doesn't work
Yeah.
at
No,
this stage.
it's yet to work, isn't it? Yeah.
I think sales are exactly the same. I think there'll always be a salesperson because,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be pretty boring life talking to the computer for the rest of your life. We like actually interacting with other people.
Well,
I think mortgage is the same.
we're dealing with when we're dealing with something that doesn't have a recommended retail price, aren't we?
Correct.
If you hire me to sell your house, if I can use my skills to help you get a better result, then that's my job. So
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
real estate is one out of the box. Andrew, I want a big thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy guy. You're still riding your bike?
Yeah, still riding my bike. I'm just getting back. I just did one, getting back on it. As let's say you get more mature, you've got to do more kilometers for the same amount of effort, unfortunately. But that's just
Okay.
the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I like keeping myself active. I think, we are in my opinion, the playing field has just been leveled again. So someone
Yes.
at 20 years old, like my son, is teaching me so much
Yeah.
about AI
Yeah.
because he FAFOs it all, and it's a
Yeah.
new game.
Yeah.
And there's no maturity here. It's a brand new game. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm 20 years old again having a crack, and I
Same.
love that.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here and for
Yeah.
this revolution and to experience it. It's amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
correct. You're welcome. Thank you very
Okay.
much. I hope people get a lot out of it.
Absolutely.
It's just fun telling the story.
It is. And well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.